messed up. I went from 0 sales for my 3D printing candle company to having 5 orders to ship all at once. All from the thing that research said was a complete waste of time. YouTube. And if I didn't ship out every order in only 5 days, Etsy could give my shop a 0% shipping score and lower search visibility. All before I ever completed my first sale. By the end of this video, I'll show you how I designed, destroyed, and ultimately delivered my first candles, where I'll reveal how much I earned during this week of absolute chaos. With that being said, let me take you back to my... Hey, I'm Luke. In order to escape the monotony of the corporate world, I started FDMCandles, a business that specializes in making customized text and printed candles with my 3D printer. This is a process that I've uniquely developed, which prior to releasing my first video had gotten very little attention. So when I woke up on Monday and saw my 3 subscriber channel jump to nearly 200 subs, 8,000 views, and 5 candle orders after literally 0 the whole summer, I was unprepared. You see, the way I designed the candle making process was unconventional. Every time I get a new order, I first have to create a silicone nameplate, which involves 1. Change the text on the 3D model to say what the customer wants, or create a shape that can be traced by a software and imprinted into the model. 2. Create these nameplate casters out of ABS. 3. Place these casters in a makeshift vapor smoothing chamber to flatten any layer lines and give a cleaner plastic finish. 4. Cast flexible silicone into the casters. And 5. Wait overnight. Voila! Just like that, you have a nameplate. But that's just the first half. To make the actual candle, you have to 1. Place the nameplate into the slot of a special mold that I've designed. 2. Heat the soy wax, wait to the right temperature, and add any specific scent. 3. Thread the mold with the right wick size and preheat the mold with a heat gun. 4. Pour your first coat of wax, about 95% full. 5. Chop off the wick and pour your second coat. 6. Wait overnight. Again. So, not the fastest process. Why on earth did I think that putting a 1-week shipping time was a good idea? Let me show you how ridiculous of a decision this was. So, I received 5 orders, 4 of them all being for the same shape, the cube candle design. If I made all of the nameplates in the same day, they would all be ready by Tuesday. But I only had 1 mold to cast the rest of the candles into, which meant that I could only prepare 1 a day after that point. With 4 candles, that meant the earliest I could finish with nothing going wrong was by Saturday, aka 1 day late. And mind you, this was a complete accident. My target market of baby shower and wedding shoppers is only supposed to use YouTube 12% of the time when making a purchasing decision, which, when you compare to the 66% on Pinterest or 49% on Instagram, is laughably low. What's weirder is that my audience seems to be 95.8% male, which definitely isn't the traditional market. It turns out that the video put my business in the eyes of lots of my friends and family, who for one reason or another decided to place all 5 of the orders that I had received, which made me excited, made me grateful, but also a little scared. I mean, sure, I could ask to delay their orders. After all, if the buyer and seller agree, the order can be delayed by up to 3 weeks according to Etsy. But these are people that I care about, that gave my business a chance when no one else did. What sort of business would I be running if I couldn't fulfill my first orders on time? Especially for the people who put their faith in me. No, it was out of the question. Somehow, I was going to figure out how to not only deliver the candles in time, but do it better than they expected. I was going to create new tooling. Here's the mold I used to create the candles seen in the Etsy listing. See anything weird? Let's zoom in. 2 words, layer lines. This box was meant to be a prototype that I decided to sell on a whim, and somehow, it became the most popular item by far. But when you create 3 prints, they print in layers. And if you look closely, you can make out each individual layer with the naked eye. That also happens when you cast silicone around 3D printed objects. After all, silicone simply takes the shape of its container. But since making this cube, I've learned more about mold creation, and using the power of and reducing the size for cost savings, I could make a smoother and more cost-effective mold. So I decided I was going to speedrun the creation of my candles by making a second, improved mold, enabling me to cast 2 candles per day, finishing by Thursday, which is 1 day ahead of schedule. I designed the nameplates, printed them, smoothed them, casted them, and let them set overnight. I did the same thing with a new mold design, which will also be ready by the morning. What could go wrong? Something went wrong. But the good news is that the nameplates turned out perfectly. And even though it literally took 25 minutes to remove the plastic surrounding the silicone, the outside looks good? I measured out my wax at 200 grams per candle and set everything up for pouring and got to work. The blue mold gave me nothing to worry about. It was tried and true. The problem came with the new mold I designed. Somehow, I thought I could get away with shrinking the wall thickness down from ½ an inch, which frankly is way too thick, all the way down to 1/8 of an inch. What I forgot to do was include a supporting structure to maintain the shape of the mold. I think at the time, I thought it could hold together because it's a cube and cubes are supposed to be structural. But a couple hours later, I saw this. The thin walls were prone to bending and would probably make the cube look like a weird sphere thingy. Well, whatever. I could probably just redesign the mold and ship out on Friday instead of Thursday. There goes my one-day safety net, but it's probably fine. Well, there was this one little problem. Scent. I had bought 5 little scent bottles of 30 ml per scent, thinking that would last me forever. Well, it turns out that each little candle ended up using 15 mils, and with 2 orders being for Coastal Sunrise, and one of those probably having to be scrapped, I was already at a scent. The latest I could pour the candle to make the time limit was 2 days. The shipping of new scents would take 2 to 5 days. Yeah, that just made my odds of shipping in time, everything else going perfectly to plan, to 25%. I'm just gonna let that sink in. Can you see why I was stressed? But it was the best chance I had, and I didn't have time to worry. I raced to iterate on my mold design, adding an additional supporting structure to the exterior and doubling the thickness for good measure. I set up the prints, closed my computer, and went to bed. I was right. While the new exterior of the cube candle was fantastically smooth, it was bulging out to the sides. I mean, my family probably wouldn't care about something so minor, right? I mean, it was barely noticeable? Who's kidding who? Of course I couldn't give it to them. These candles needed to be flawless. I wasn't gonna rush something just for the sake of holding on to an Etsy score. In the meantime, I removed my other candle in the blue mold, which came out great. It was good to know that something was working as intended. With that, I continued working on my new mold, pouring silicone to hopefully have everything work, where I would make 3 candles tomorrow. 2 of them cubes and 1 cake. All while hoping the scent shipment would come in time. While I waited, I thought I should try to upgrade my setup a little bit. I noticed that the wick holders I were using weren't the greatest at holding my wicks upright. I use HTP series wicks, which have a number attached associated with their burn pool diameter, and, naturally, are different sizes. I created a set of 4 HTP wick holders and iterated until I found tight fits for each kind, which I've uploaded to the public for free on my MakerWorld profile. So if you want to get into candles, there you go. Anyways, after pouring my second candle and casting the cake's nameplate, I closed my eyes to prepare for arguably the most important day of the week. There was nothing at the door. When I woke up, all I saw was my porch. No scents had come in yet. Maybe there was a chance later on. To keep myself busy, I extracted my blue mold candle. It was good, as expected. That's 2 out of 4 done. But still, I couldn't really get my hopes up until I got word of the scents! They came in! I got the 25% chance of the scents coming in by complete luck! Oh man, this was such huge relief. At this point, the only thing that was up in the air was whether that new mold would work. I set it up with a new supporting structure to try and prevent the bending sides from last time. I got to pouring my last 3 candles quickly because I had something important to do. Speaking of important things, on my last video, I found out that 99.6% of viewers were not subscribed. This channel is all about following my business journey where I can show you guys everything totally transparently. If you're enjoying the video and want to see where I take the business next, subscribe by hitting the button below. Anyways, that night, I planned to deliver my first candle in person. What that meant was I needed to have the packaging fully complete before the evening, but I came prepared. A couple of months ago, I ordered a competitor's candle that looked particularly angular to see how they packaged everything to prevent breaking mid-shipping. I dissected the anatomy of the order layer by layer and straight up bought everything that they did. I noticed how they included some cool little trinkets and a thank you note, which I thought was pretty cool. That taught me that the packaging was just as much part of the order as the actual candle, so I wanted to do it right. The layers are covered top to bottom with packing hay and bubble wrap, with the candle being embedded in acid-free tissue paper and honeycomb packing cardboard. Being from Canada, I modeled out a maple leaf and 3D printed them to include in orders. I also added a handwritten, personalized thank you note and a warning label printed on a set of Staples business cards. I tried to make 3D printed stamps out of a random logo I threw together, but they came out both backwards and missing a chunk in the middle. I think I'll still try to make this work in the future though. With the package all wrapped up, I delivered my first candle in person that night, went home, and fell asleep, realizing that I almost made it. This was it, the moment of truth. 3 candles sat in front of me, waiting to be removed from their packaging. If any of the 3 didn't come out exactly how I wanted, it was over. I would fail. Hesitantly, I slowly peeled the candles out of their packaging, and it worked. My new mold, not only did it work, it was the best looking candle I've ever made. You can see here in a side-by-side the quality difference before and after vapor smoothing. My mom had ordered the candle for an upcoming wedding, and it was the first time I've tried to put a wedding monogram into the candle. It came out better than I ever could have hoped. I finally let my shoulders down. I knew I would make it in time. By the way, if you want to get one of these, click the shop link in the description and use code ISubscribed for 10% off your order. It would really help to support me. I took the 3 candles and packaged them all up in 30 minutes, which is how long it took me to do just one before. Turns out doing things in batches really does have its benefits. I set all the cubes aside, which would be hand delivered to my loved ones. The final box was the cake, the only candle which hadn't given me a hard time so far. Also, the only candle to be shipped out using the label. With a sigh of relief, I went to go print the shipping label and... that's weird. Where was the charging cord for my label printer? Huh? Surely it's just in a drawer? Or in the wall? Downstairs? Huh? Anywhere? Why couldn't I find it? Printing the label was supposed to be a walk in the park. The park? I forgot my parents left last night and took our electric scooters with them to a camping park. But for some reason, the electric scooters and my label printer use the same charger! No. Are you telling me I wouldn't ship over a power cord? I couldn't believe it. After everything I did, every mistake I made, I thought I'd count for everything. But how was I supposed to account for this? It was over. I had no means of getting a shipping label. I had to leave for the park myself in 20 minutes. I was defeated. I gave up. I went to the back of my car to start packing things away, getting ready to break the news to my customers, my family, in the car. I opened the trunk, and there they were. The scooters, the plugs. It looks like my parents, by sheer luck, decided to store the scooters in this car. I ran downstairs, plugged my end into the label printer, and... needless to say, I made it. And with that, I delivered the last box to the post office, handed off the other ones in person, and finally could say I had done everything on time. But was it worth it? First things first, I changed the shipment speed from 5 days to 1 to 2 weeks, hopefully preventing something like this from ever happening again. Since that day, I've had 1 new order, so these numbers are a bit higher than they were at the time, but they're close enough to get an idea. My total Etsy profit was $142.21 CAD. I had made $200.64 CAD in sales, with $29.82 in fees. For some reason, I also had a marketing fee of $4.23, which is weird since I don't remember marketing to my knowledge, and $10.78 were spent on postage labels. I also invested in a double pot boiler and a heat gun since my last video, leaving my total business expenses up to this point at 1850.32 CAD. So I'm still 1708.10 in the hole currently, but for the first time there was some positive number getting added to that total, and maybe one day I'll get it flipped around. So that's my story, and if you liked it, I hope you'll stick around for more. Later!